Holzheim, Belgium, January 29, 1945. The time is 14:47 hours. First Sergeant Leonard Funk rounds the corner of a farmhouse and freezes in place. 90 German soldiers stand before him. Roughly half are already armed. The others are retrieving weapons from a stockpile on the ground. 4 American soldiers kneel in the snow, hands clasped behind their heads in surrender. These Germans had been prisoners less than half an hour ago. 80 of them were taken during Company C's assault on this village. Only 4 men could be spared to guard them. Now they are free, rearming themselves, and preparing to strike Company C from behind. A German officer moves forward. He forces the muzzle of an MP-40 submachine gun hard into Funk's abdomen. He shouts in German. Funk speaks no German. Neither does anyone else in his unit. The officer shouts again, louder this time, his face darkening with fury. Funk surveys the 90 Germans. He looks at his 4 disarmed men. He looks down at the weapon pressed into his stomach. Then he begins to laugh. The German officer's expression shifts from confusion to outrage. He screams even louder. Funk laughs harder. What follows unfolds in less than 1 minute. 21 Germans will be killed. The remainder will discard their weapons and surrender once more. Leonard Funk will be awarded the Medal of Honor for what becomes one of the most extraordinary close quarters engagements of the Second World War. All of it begins because he cannot stop laughing. Leonard Alfred Funk Jr. was born on August 27, 1916, in Braddock Township, Pennsylvania. It was a steel town. Smokestacks and foundries lined the Monongahela River, 8 miles east of Pittsburgh. Funk matured quickly. Responsibility came early. By the time he completed high school in 1934, he had been caring for his younger brother for years. The Great Depression was entering its 5th year. Employment was scarce. Higher education was out of reach. In June 1941, with war consuming Europe and Asia, Congress extends conscription. Funk's number is drawn. He reports to the induction center in Wilkinsburg, Pennsylvania. He is 24 years old, 5 feet 5 inches tall, and weighs 140 pounds. The Army medical examiner likely assumes he will be assigned to administrative duties. That assumption proves incorrect. Funk volunteers for airborne forces. In 1941, American paratrooper units are barely established. The doctrine is untested. The concept involves jumping from functional aircraft to land, behind enemy positions and fight while encircled. To most soldiers, it sounds suicidal. The volunteers are fundamentally different. They have to be. Airborne qualification is engineered to break candidates. 5 weeks of running, jumping, climbing, falling, and relentless physical conditioning that eliminates half of those who attempt it. Then come the jump towers. Then actual aircraft. The first time a candidate steps from a C-47. Transport at 1,200 feet. Every instinct screams to grip the doorframe and refuse. The ground appears impossibly distant. Wind tears at exposed skin. The parachute is nothing more than fabric, cord, and trust. Funk earns his wings. He is assigned to Company C, 1st Battalion, 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, at Camp Blanding, Florida. The 508th deploys to England in late 1943. They join the 82nd Airborne Division, the All-Americans, veterans of Sicily and Italy. These men have already conducted combat jumps. They have already killed and witnessed the deaths of comrades. Funk is the replacement. At 27, he is ancient by paratrooper standards. Most of his squadmates are barely 20 years old. But Funk possesses something they lack: maturity, steadiness, the kind of unspoken competence that inspires men to follow you into impossible situations. By D-Day, he commands a squad. By the Battle of the Bulge, he will be acting executive officer of the company. First, however, he must survive Normandy. June 6, 1944, 0130 hours. The C-47 Skytrain shudders as flak detonates around the formation. Funk stands in the stick, the line of paratroopers preparing to jump. 60 pounds of equipment is strapped to his body. An M1A1 Thompson submachine gun, ammunition, grenades, rations, medical supplies. The aircraft is at 400 feet, dangerously low for a safe drop. But the pilots cannot gain altitude. German anti-aircraft fire saturates the sky. Traces streak through the darkness like luminous insects. Shrapnel pings audibly against the fuselage. The Normandy invasion deploys. 13,000 paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Airborne divisions. Their mission is to land inland from the beaches, secure bridges and road junctions, and prevent German reinforcements from reaching the coast. Nothing proceeds according to plan. The green light activates. Funk jumps. Propeller wash hits him with brutal force. The parachute deploys and the world goes silent. Below lies France. Occupied France. Enemy territory in every direction. The D-Day airborne operation devolves into chaos within minutes. German anti-aircraft fire scatters the formations. Across 50 miles of Norman countryside, paratroopers land in flooded fields and drown beneath the weight of their gear. Others descend directly into German encampments and are killed before they can release their harnesses. Funk hits the ground hard. His ankle twists on impact. Badly sprained, possibly fractured. The pain is immediate and severe. Every step will be excruciating for the next 2 weeks. But he can walk. He can fight. That is sufficient. He gathers his chute, conceals it, and begins moving. He is 40 miles from his designated drop zone. 40 miles of German-held territory. Alone in darkness. Within hours, he has assembled a group of scattered paratroopers. Men from different units, different companies, different regiments. 18 men eventually, all seeking leadership. Funk provides it. For 10 days, Funk leads this improvised force through enemy-occupied terrain. They move at night, hide during daylight, and engage only when necessary. He insists on serving as lead scout despite his injured ankle, placing himself in the most exposed position to shield his men. They link up with Allied forces on June 17th. Every single man survives. Not one casualty. 10 days behind German lines. 40 miles through occupied France. Leonard Funk brings them all home. He receives the Silver Star, the 3rd highest combat decoration, plus a Bronze Star for meritorious service, plus his first Purple Heart. Funk is only beginning. September 17th, 1944. Holland. Operation Market Garden. The largest airborne assault in military history. 35,000. Paratroopers dropping into the Netherlands to capture a series of bridges across the Rhine. British, American, and Polish forces jumping simultaneously. If successful, the Allies will reach Germany by Christmas. Field Marshal Montgomery's plan is ambitious, perhaps excessively so. The paratroopers must capture and hold 7 bridges across 64 miles of Dutch territory. Ground forces will advance up a single highway to link up with them. Everything depends on speed, on surprise, on flawless execution. Everything fails. The British 1st Airborne Division lands at Arnhem, the most distant objective. They are immediately surrounded by SS Panzer divisions that intelligence failed to detect. For 9 days, they fight and die in the streets. Only 2,000 of 10,000 men escape. The bridge too far becomes a permanent lesson in military planning. But Leonard Funk knows nothing of the strategic picture. He knows only his mission. Support the landings. Secure the drop zones. Eliminate German resistance. After landing, his company secures their objective without difficulty. The 508th operates near Nijmegen, capturing bridges to enable the ground advance. Then Funk observes something outside the operational plan. 3 German 20mm flak guns are firing at incoming Allied gliders. Those gliders carry reinforcements, vehicles, artillery, ammunition, and medical supplies. If the guns continue firing, hundreds of men will die before landing. The gun position is fortified on high ground near Vauxhall. Approximately 20 German soldiers man the weapons and provide security. Sandbags, camouflage, overlapping fields of fire. Funk has 3 men with him. Standard doctrine. Requires a 3-to-1 numerical. Advantage to assault a prepared defensive position. Funk has the inverse. He is outnumbered 7-to-1. He attacks regardless. Leading from the front. Funk and his 3-man element assault the German position. They eliminate the security detachment, overrun the gun emplacements, and neutralize all 3 weapons and their crews. 20 Germans. 3 Americans. The guns fall silent. The gliders land safely. He is awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the second highest decoration for valor, one step below the Medal of Honor. Funk now holds both a Silver Star and a DSC, 2 of the rarest combat decorations in the American military. Most soldiers who earn even one are considered heroes for life. Funk is not finished. December 16, 1944. The Germans launched their final major offensive. 3 armies, 400,000 men, 1,400 tanks, 1,900 artillery pieces. They smashed through American lines in the Ardennes forest, driving toward the port of Antwerp. Hitler's plan is desperate, but nearly succeeds. He is wagering everything on one massive counteroffensive. Split the Allied armies. Capture Antwerp. Force a negotiated peace in the west so Germany can concentrate on the Soviets in the east. For the Americans, it is catastrophic. The offensive strikes thinly defended sectors, held by inexperienced troops and exhausted. Veterans pulled from the line for rest. Entire divisions collapse. Thousands surrender. The German advance creates a bulge 50 miles deep in Allied lines. The Battle of the Bulge, the largest battle the U.S. Army will fight in the Second World War. 89,000 American casualties before it concludes. The weather is merciless. Snow, ice, temperatures falling to 5 degrees below zero. Men freeze to death in foxholes. Weapons malfunction. Vehicles will not start. The cold is as lethal as the enemy. Then comes Normandy. December 17, 1944. One day into the offensive. A convoy from the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion is moving near Borgness Crossroads when they encounter the spearhead of Kampfgruppe, an SS armored battle group. The Americans are re-echelon troops, artillery observers, radio operators. They are not equipped to fight tanks and mechanized infantry. After brief resistance, 113 Americans surrender. They are forced into a farmer's field near the crossroads. Hands raised. Disarmed. Prisoners of war. The SS opens fire. Machine guns, pistols, rifles. The Germans shoot them down systematically. Men who attempt to flee are cut down. Wounded men are executed with shots to the head. 84 Americans die in that field. Some survive by feigning death. They lie motionless in the snow for hours. German boots pass within feet. German voices. Laughter. When darkness falls, 43 survivors crawl away and reach American lines. The news spreads through the American army within hours. The Germans are executing prisoners. Normandy changes everything. Before this, the war in Europe operated under rules. Unofficial, unspoken, but real. Soldiers surrendered when defeat was inevitable. Prisoners were treated according to the Geneva Convention. There existed a grim professionalism between adversaries. After Normandy, the rules vanish. American soldiers swear they will never surrender to the SS. Some units receive orders. No SS prisoners taken. When Funk learns of the massacre, something changes within him. He has already witnessed too much. Normandy, Holland, friends, dying in fields and forests across Europe. But this is fundamentally different. This is murder. Cold-blooded execution of men who surrendered in good faith. Leonard Funk decides he will never surrender to the Germans, under any circumstances. That decision will matter very soon. January 29, 1945. The Ardennes. The German offensive has been broken. Now the Allies are counterattacking. Company C, 508th Parachute Infantry, receives orders to capture the Belgian village of Holzheim. There is a complication. Company C is severely under strength. The executive officer, second in command, has been killed. They lack sufficient personnel for the assault. Funk is now acting executive officer. He reviews his depleted roster and makes a decision. He walks to the company headquarters tent. Inside are clerks, supply personnel, cooks, men who ordinarily never see frontline combat. You are all infantry now, Funk tells them. Collect your weapons. We are taking that village. He organizes a provisional platoon. 30 men who have spent most of the war behind desks. They completed basic training. Certainly, but actual combat. Most have never fired at another human being. Funk does not care. He needs bodies. He will transform them into soldiers. The approach to Holzheim is 15 miles through waist-deep snow, in a driving blizzard, temperatures well below freezing. German artillery shells detonate around them. Harassing fire from the flanks. Funk leads from the front. They reach Holzheim. Funk organizes the assault. His clerks, his improvised warriors, follow him into the village. 15 houses. Germans defending every one. Machine guns, rifles, grenades. Funk and his men clear them systematically. 30 prisoners captured. Not one American casualty. Another element captures 50 more Germans on the opposite side of the settlement. 80 prisoners total. They are assembled in the yard of a farmhouse. Funk assesses his exhausted men. They have been marching and fighting for hours. Resistance continues in other sections of the village. Scattered German soldiers who have not yet surrendered. He can spare only 4 men to guard the prisoners. Keep them here, he instructs the guards. We will send reinforcements when possible. Funk returns to the fight. He has no knowledge of what is about to occur behind him. While Funk clears the remainder of Holzheim, a German patrol approaches the farmhouse. 10 men, perhaps 20, wearing white camouflage capes over their uniforms. In the snow and confusion of battle, they appear almost identical to American troops in winter gear. The 4 guards do not recognize the danger until too late. The Germans overpower them, strip them of weapons, and force them to their knees. Then they liberate the prisoners. 80 German soldiers plus the patrol that freed them. 90 men total. They retrieve weapons from the stockpile. They organize rapidly. They know precisely what they intend to do. Attack Company C from the rear. Funk's company is dispersed across the village, eliminating remaining resistance. They are not anticipating an attack from behind. If 90 Germans strike while they are spread out, it will be a slaughter. The German officer in command, likely a lieutenant or captain, begins issuing orders. Position the machine guns here. Establish the ambush there. Wait for my signal. That is when Leonard Funk walks around the corner. Funk has come to check on the prisoners. Routine procedure. Ensure the guards are secure. Determine if reinforcements have arrived. He is not expecting to encounter 90 armed Germans. He rounds the corner of the farmhouse and stops. The scene is surreal. His 4 guards kneel in the snow. The prisoners, who should be disarmed and contained, stand everywhere, rifles in hand, organizing for combat. The German officer sees Funk immediately. The first sergeant stripes on his sleeve identify him as a leader. A valuable prize. The officer strides forward, drives his MP40 into Funk's stomach, and screams a command in German. Surrender. Drop your weapon. Except Funk does not speak German. He has no comprehension of what the officer is saying. The officer screams again, louder. His face reddens. Veins bulge in his neck. Funk looks around. 90 Germans. Half-armed. His 4 men disarmed and helpless. 1 other American soldier stands beside him, equally helpless. The mathematics of survival equal 0. There exists no scenario in which Leonard Funk wins this engagement. He is outnumbered 90 to 1. The sensible course, the rational course, is to surrender. But Funk remembers Normandy. 84 Americans murdered in a field. Shot like animals. Left to freeze in the snow. He has already decided he will never surrender to the Germans. So instead of complying, Leonard Funk does something incomprehensible. He starts laughing. No one knows precisely why Funk laughed. Perhaps it was a deliberate tactic to confuse the enemy and buy time. Perhaps it was stress. The human mind reacts unpredictably when confronted with certain death. Perhaps it was genuine amusement at the absurdity of the situation. An officer screaming in a language Funk could not understand, expecting compliance. Funk later stated he attempted to stop laughing but could not. Something about the German screaming in German struck him as absurd. Whatever the reason, the effect is devastating. The German officer screams louder. Funk laughs harder. He bends over, shoulders shaking, and calls out to his men. I do not understand what he is saying. Some of the German soldiers begin laughing as well. The tension becomes bizarre. Their officer is turning purple with rage. This American will not stop laughing. The officer is completely disoriented. This is not how prisoners behave. They beg. They plead. They comply. They do not stand there laughing while you press a gun into their stomach. For several critical seconds, the German officer does not know how to respond. Leonard Funk uses those seconds. Still appearing to laugh, Funk slowly reaches toward his Thompson submachine gun. It is slung over his shoulder, the standard carrying position for paratroopers. The German officer watches. This is acceptable. The American is finally surrendering his weapon. Funk's hand closes around the grip of the Thompson. He begins to unsling it slowly, carefully. The German relaxes slightly. He is about to acquire another prisoner, another trophy. Then Funk moves. In one motion, faster than conscious thought. He swings the Thompson down, brings the muzzle into line, and squeezes the trigger. The M1A1 Thompson fires 45 caliber rounds at 600 per minute. At close range, each round impacts like a sledgehammer. The rounds do not merely wound. They destroy. The first burst strikes the German officer in the chest. 30 rounds in less than 3 seconds. The officer is dead before he collapses. Funk does not stop. Cannot stop. The moment he began firing, he committed to killing everyone or dying himself. No alternative exists. He pivots, still firing. The Thompson sprays an arc of lead across the German soldiers nearest him. Men scream. Men fall. Blood sprays across the snow. Brass casings tumble through the air, steaming in the cold. The magazine runs empty. 30 rounds expended in seconds. This is the critical moment. A Thompson requires 2 seconds to reload if you are practiced. 2 seconds is an eternity in close combat. 2 seconds is sufficient time for 90 Germans to kill 1 American. Funk yanks the empty magazine out, slams a fresh one in, racks the bolt, and continues firing. The entire sequence requires less than a heartbeat. Muscle memory. Thousands of hours of training compressed into one fluid motion. Simultaneously, he is screaming at his men. Pick up their weapons. Pick up their weapons. The 4 guards, still on their knees, scramble for the rifles dropped by the dead Germans. Seconds ago, they were prisoners. Now they are fighting for survival. The Germans are in chaos. Their officer is dead. The American who was laughing is now killing them. No one issued orders for this. No one knows how to respond. Some return fire. Bullets snap past Funk's head. 1 round kills the soldier standing beside him. Funk continues firing, moving, killing. His guards have weapons now. They are shooting as well. The Germans are caught in a crossfire they never anticipated. 60 seconds. That is all it requires. 21 German soldiers lie dead in the snow. 24 more are wounded. The rest, more than 40, have discarded their weapons and raised their hands. The prisoners are prisoners again. Leonard Funk stands in the center of the carnage. Smoke rising from his Thompson, surrounded by bodies. That, he tells his men, was the stupidest thing I have ever seen. The aftermath is almost anticlimactic. Company C secures Holzheim. The captured Germans, the survivors at least, a march to the rear under substantially heavier guard this time. Funk reports the incident to his commanding officer. Just another firefight. Just another day in the war. But the story spreads through the regiment, through the division, through the entire 82nd Airborne. The sergeant who laughed at 90 Germans and killed half of them with a Thompson gun. When the Medal of Honor recommendation reaches Washington, no one questions it. What Funk accomplished at Holzheim is beyond dispute. Outnumbered 90 to 1, enemy weapon pressed into his stomach. And instead of surrendering, he attacked. The official citation reads, "He was ordered to surrender by a German officer who pushed a machine pistol into his stomach." Although overwhelmingly outnumbered and facing almost certain death, First Sergeant Funk, pretending to comply with the order, began slowly to unsling his submachine gun from his shoulder, and then with lightning motion, brought the muzzle into line and riddled the German officer. He turned upon the other Germans, firing and shouting to the other Americans to seize the enemy's weapons. September 5, 1945. The White House. President Harry Truman places the Medal of Honor around Leonard Funk's neck. "I would rather have this medal," Truman says, "than be President of the United States." Consider what Leonard Funk earned during the Second World War. Medal of Honor for Holzheim. Distinguished Service Cross for neutralizing the anti-aircraft guns in Holland. Silver Star for leading 18 men through 40 miles of enemy territory in Normandy. Bronze Star for meritorious service. Purple Heart, 3 of them. He was wounded 3 separate times and continued fighting. Plus the Croix de Guerre from France. The Order of Leopold from Belgium. The Military Order of William from the Netherlands. Their equivalent of the Victoria Cross. Leonard Funk is the most decorated paratrooper of the Second World War. 5 feet 5 inches tall. 140 pounds. A former store clerk who became a legend. The war ends. Funk returns home. He does not write a book. Does not pursue the lecture circuit. Does not transform his Medal of Honor into a speaking career or political platform. He does not capitalize on his fame. He returns to Pennsylvania and accepts employment with the Veterans Administration. The VA. The massive bureaucracy. Responsible for caring for America's former soldiers. Assisting other veterans in navigating paperwork. Processing disability claims. Cutting through red tape for men. Who gave everything and now required help obtaining what they were owed. The same clerical work he performed before the war. The same quiet, unglamorous, necessary work. For 27 years, Leonard Funk sits at a desk and assists veterans. He advances through the ranks, eventually becoming division chief of the Pittsburgh Regional Office. Good salary. Steady hours. A pension waiting at the end. His wife, Gertrude, remains with him throughout. They have 2 daughters. They live in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, a working-class neighborhood. In a working-class town not far from where he was raised. The Medal of Honor hangs in a display case somewhere. The Distinguished Service Cross. The Silver Star. All the foreign decorations from France and Belgium and the Netherlands. He never discusses them. When people ask about Holzheim, about the laughing, about the 90 Germans, he dismisses it. Did what I had to do. That is all. That is everything he ever says. November 20th, 1992. Braddock Hills, Pennsylvania. Leonard Alfred Funk Jr. dies of cancer. He is 76 years old. They bury him at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 35. Grave 23,734. Among the heroes of every American war. At the time of his death, he is the last surviving Medal of Honor. Recipient from the 82nd Airborne Division in the Second World War. A fitness center at Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, is named after him. A highway in Pennsylvania bears his name. A post office in McKeesport was dedicated to him in 2023. But most people have never heard of Leonard Funk. They know Audie Murphy. They know Alvin York, the famous Medal of Honor recipients. They do not know the short, quiet paratrooper who laughed at 90 Germans and killed 21 of them with a Thompson gun. Here is what the story of Leonard Funk demonstrates. War does not favor the large. It does not favor the strong. It does not favor the reckless or the fearless. War favors those who continue thinking when everyone else has stopped. At Holzheim, Leonard Funk had every rational reason to surrender. The mathematics were impossible. 90 against 1. A weapon pressed into his stomach. His men already captured. Any rational person would have capitulated. But Funk was not calculating the mathematics. He was thinking about Normandy, about 84 Americans murdered in a field, about what the Germans did to prisoners. And he was thinking about his men, the 4 guards on their knees, the soldiers scattered across the village, who would be struck from behind if these Germans escaped. So he laughed, perhaps as a tactic, perhaps from stress, perhaps because the entire situation struck him as absurd. And while the German officer was confused, while everyone was off balance, Leonard Funk made his move. 60 seconds later, he stood in a field of bodies, alive when he should have been dead. There is a quote often attributed to President Truman about the Medal of Honor. "I would rather have this medal than be President of the United States." He said it to Leonard Funk. September 5th, 1945. The White House Rose Garden. Consider that. The most powerful man in the world. The man who had just ended the Second World War. the man who would reshape the entire global order, looking at a 5'5" former store clerk from Pennsylvania and saying, "I would rather be you." Because what Truman understood, what everyone who reads the Medal of Honor citations understands, is that courage is not about size or strength or training. Courage is what you do when there is a weapon pressed into your stomach, and 90 men want you dead.